we're not competing with you for the league. We're competing with Liverpool. You're in the top 4 debate. You're closer to Spurs than City this season. You're closer to Spurs than City.
You see, you're getting too cocky now. You're getting too carried away. I used to see every City fan say, I don't care about the Champions League. Every City fan, boo!
It's true.
Boo! Now, won the treble. Winning the league without losing is a better achievement than the 100 points. The pleasure it gives me as an Arsenal fan to know that despite all the money you spent, I know it burns. Shut up every Arsenal fan. Wait a minute.
That shuts everyone up.
Shut up every Arsenal fan by doing it.
Henry or Aguero?
Come on. Your missus is watching the Premier League because of Thierry Henry.
No,
looking forward to that day you hear.
You can't.
We've come to repossess those trophies.
It's a starting the police. Yo.
Right?
Can you imagine if they won the treble and we were saying
I'd be humble.
Oh my God. Oh my days.
You keep talking about the gold trophy. We're talking about the achievement.
Have you got one in your house?
Wait, forget.
You got a little toy one in your house?
Go get a Kinder Egg from Tesco. You get one in it. You end up with t-shirts like that, treble. Yeah?
Give me those.
Calm down, Win. Calm down.
We've got a harpoon for these sharks when they come here this week. It's about time we turn them over, and we're going to do it this week, Sunday.
A round of applause. That is absolutely brilliant. That is absolutely
I'll tell you what, man, everyone's got to watch that, man. It was proper spicy, man, you know what I mean? And I can't wait for the game on Sunday now. I can't wait for it, you know what I mean? So, massive game, huge game.
I know last season we were, but it has felt like a long time since we've been able to look City in the eye and go, we are your equals on, well, at least feeling like we are.
What about equals? Yeah.
Well, we have the same aspirations as you this year.
Yeah,
we want to win the league.
Yeah, I guess the thing is now they've got to take us seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've got to take us seriously. They know, you know, I mean, Boovy, well, I'm not even going to give a lot away, but watch it. But, you know, I think they're taking it seriously now.
Yeah,
you know?
I think so too.
It's a massive game on Sunday, and you know, hopefully we have a full squad.
I'm confident. I'm confident for the game. All the previews and everything. You'll see my predicted 11. You'll see my preview, my prediction, everything. You know, we are fully covering it from every angle, and this is our chance to have you have your say. Just download the AFTV Plus app. We want to hear from you. That's why we go live here. We could easily just be me and Robbie chatting away. You get plenty of that. We want to hear what you guys have to say. It's free to download the AFTV Plus app. Completely free to do. Also a chance for you to check out some of our merch. North London Forever. As you can see, there's Zinchenko top. And if you jump on FANZONE, free to do, and you can.
Do you know what? Right? Do you know what? Let me just jump in here, right? Because the other night I was in Lons, right? And we're driving back from the game, and we're going to get onto the train that takes you back on. You drive your car onto the train.
Yeah, the Eurostar.
Eurotunnel, what they call it, right? And I was watching you not doing the show, and I was like, let me see if I can jump on. You know, obviously, I'm always at the game, and sometimes don't get to use it. And I couldn't believe how easy it is. You just literally press that FANZONE, right? And then you're in.
Yeah. It's really
you're into the show, right? So that is how easy it is. All you got to do is, when you've got the app, download the app. Like if you haven't already got it, if you ain't got it, why? But download the app, and you literally just press on FANZONE, and you're in. You're into the virtual green room of the show, and you'll be able to come on and have your say. And we want to hear from as many of you as possible today, because I know we've got a good debate.
Yes, we got a good debate, because I actually think me and you both fall on the same side of the optimism ahead of Man City and all that. I think we're feeling good. Other people are more, I think, fairly, I think justifiably pessimistic, or a little bit like holding back, and I understand. But I'm feeling excited. We need to talk about something, though, that has been a big spark of debate this week. And I think a big part of why production put me and you together on this show is because I think we have landed on real opposite ends of the spectrum on this, which was Bukayo Saka. Was he overplayed by Mikel Arteta? Is Mikel Arteta somewhat to blame for the injury? Do we risk him for Sunday? There's lots to explore here. The days have gone on now, Robbie. Are you changing your tune a little bit on whether Saka should have played that game in midweek?
No, I'm not changing
Standing
my tune
firm
at all. No. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's a Champions League game. If, and I said this before the game, and I stand by it, if Bukayo Saka was fully fit to play that game, he plays. We would go into the game and, Lee and Julian are saying to me, oh, rest Saka, rest this player. I said, yeah, hold on, you lot are disrespecting Lons. This is the Champions League, right? This is not the Europa League, this is the Champions League. And what happened, by the way? We didn't win the game.
Yeah, no, we lost, yeah.
We lost the game, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, so I'm like, we need all of our best players playing this game, right? And I'm like, Bukayo Saka, for me, is our best player currently, right? And if he's fully fit, he plays. Now, I know everybody's going on about the Bournemouth game. He got a knock. It wasn't a muscular injury. It wasn't he got a knock. We know he gets kicked a lot. He got a knock in that game, right? He got taken off later on, right? You could argue maybe you could have took him off a little sooner. But he's recovered from the knock and he's ready for the game, right? So he plays. Did Manchester City, they've got us, remember, on Sunday. Yeah, they played the night after. Did they rest Haaland?
No.
I rest my case. Haaland played the whole 90. They were winning 2-1. Did they take Haaland off? Did they say, oh, get Haaland off, wrap him up? No, they didn't. They took him off, right? They took Haaland off. They kept Haaland on for the full 90 minutes of the game, right? Because they know he's their best player and it's the Champions League and they want to win it. And when people are saying that Arteta hasn't rested Saka, he did. He rested him for the Carabao Cup game the other day. He didn't even figure in the squad. He was completely rested. So I just think people are, and now, on top of that now, we're hearing that you never know. He could be fit for the weekend. I mean, I think Arteta's got his press conference today. Maybe even during this show, we'll find out a bit more about it. But he's been selected for the England squad, which makes me think, why would they select him for England? Because if he's not fit, they would have just said no. He's not available, and he needs 2 weeks of rest. So he's been selected for the England squad. He must have a chance of figuring on Sunday.
So my prediction is that he'll be fit for Sunday.
And, last thing, the injury that he was supposed to have picked up in the game was a muscular injury. And Arteta said he went a back heeler ball and he felt a little twinge in his muscle. They got him straight off. What more do you want him to do? It's the Champions League, man. We want these guys playing.
Okay, but can't two things be true, right? You can respect Lons and go with your first 11 or 10 of your first 11 and still recognise that Saka's come off injured in the previous 2 games he started.
Knocks.
I understand knocks, okay, and you know what? I'll give you that. All right, they're knocks, so you can overcome knocks quite quickly. When it's muscular, it's different. I understand, but the fact remains, Robbie, that this is a player who, at 21 years old, has played an obscene amount of football.
21, young.
But that's
fit,
almost
strong.
more. No, but that's even more reason, because everyone uses the Mo Salah example, right? Mo Salah started last night in the Europa League.
Exactly.
The guy's 30, 31. He is conditioned. He is ready at that level. He's developed up to it.
But you could argue at that age, right? You know what I mean? At that sort of age, are they overplaying Mo Salah? Mo Salah plays every game because they're best player.
Well, I would. Well, he didn't start the Europa League game a couple of weeks, but it's Europa. Okay, I think a youngster, Bukayo Saka, who has had the physical and mental weight of Arsenal on his shoulders for the last 3 years. He can handle it. Actually, that's an interesting one. Can he handle it? Because I'll be real, right? And I love Bukayo Saka so much. He is the spearhead for this Arsenal revolution in the last few years that has turned us around from being an 8th place joke of a club to actually one that competes for the title. But the run into the Champions League, the race for Champions League spots 2 years ago, and last season's race for the title, he fell away. And I don't blame him. His form dipped, and I personally think it's because Mikel Arteta overused him in the build-up to all that. The guy played 80-something Premier League games in a row. It's a staggering amount of football.
If you're talking about last season, right, towards the end of the season, he did fall away maybe, but I'm on about this season, where I'm hearing fans say, rest Saka. We've played 7 games in the league, or 8 games. Sorry, 8 games now.
Yeah, but Southgate flogs him as well and uses him as much as possible.
Played, right? 8 games we've played in the league, and 2 Champions League games, and people are talking about resting. The guy's 22. He's fresh. Ronaldo never wants to rest. You know what I mean? Messi wants to play every game. Your top players, Mbappe, you know what I mean? These top players, they want to play every minute of every game, right? And the only time they shouldn't be is if they're injured.
So
all right, yes, you can overdo it with a player, right? And you know, and if this argument was being made sort of even midway through in the season or towards the end of the season, I'd understand. But I just think this has been hysterics.
Our title
flying around about people. Oh, he's been overplayed. Too many games. Oh, why is Arteta playing? Because he's our best player. He's a young guy. He's fit. He's strong. Right. None of the injuries that he's had have been up until the other night have been muscular injuries. They've been where man's kicked him. They've been knocks.
But don't you think
you when you play football, you get a knock.
Yeah.
Right. And then within 2 days' time, I mean, the next day it's a bit sore. Within a day or so, you're all right.
But don't you think it takes its toll? This guy gets kicked to shit every single game. He's one of the most foul players in the league. He plays in a position where, think of what he does. Hug the touchline, get doubled up on by fullback, centre-back, maybe a wing-back comes over and helps as well. And then when you get the ball, run, explosion, burst past them. It is constantly stop, start, get kicked, get fouled, get the ball again.
What position does he play?
He's a right winger.
What position does Salah play?
He's a right winger. Yeah, I understand, but Mo
Salah plays every game.
Like I said, Mo Salah is 30-31. He is conditioned. He is like...
No, but 30-31, you should be saying, boy, you know what? Let's give this guy a breather.
How do you think
He's
the pressure is...
He's an older guy. Let's give him a breather. He plays in exactly the same position.
But do you think he's ever had the same pressure, Salah?
Huh?
Do you think Salah's had the same pressure?
All right, let's take it.
Saka? Maybe, by the way, because he's had a lot of it.
Seasons where Liverpool have been going for the league, Salah play every game. Every game.
Salah's a good example. I'll give you the Salah one.
No, it's a great example because I'm right. I just think that fans...
But what do you mean you're right? Saka came off injured.
Fans are hysterical.
But don't you think...
Yeah, but that injury... Listen, it's not to say you can't get injured, you know. You're not Superman,
I hear that.
Right?
Yeah.
That injury that he picked up during the week was not the same as the knock that he got against Bournemouth.
I think doubters of Saka's game time have been proven right by that injury. Because yes, an injury can come at any point. Because it's a minor back heel that he's done in a game where he didn't train the week before leading up to Bournemouth, and he came off injured in that game. He came off injured in the Tottenham game.
He did train.
He didn't train. Okay, we didn't train out in the run up to Brentford, and then we're only talking like maybe 1 day in between there. He trained in the run up to Lens. He did train in the run up to there. Right. So he's coming off injured in a few games before. He's played such an excessive amount of minutes. So the fact he's got injured, I'm not being funny, me and others who are doubting his game time and the management of his game time have sat back and gone, there you go.
James, you're in the wrong business, man. You should be working at Harley Street. You know what I mean? Because I think you, Cecil, you think you're doctors.
What?
You know what I mean?
And I hear this all the time.
No, you do. You should go and get a job at Harley Street, work down there. You know what I mean? Go and get a job at NHS.
Okay.
The NHS needs you as well. You know what I mean? They're struggling at the moment because every Arsenal fan at the moment every Arsenal fan's a doctor. Every Arsenal fan, you know what I mean?
This is what everyone always
Lee Judges
says.
the other night in there. Oh my God, chill out, man. You know what I mean? That injury could have happened in training.
Yeah, I agree.
That injury could have happened in training, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, he's not the only player that's been played nearly every minute of every game. You know what I mean? He's not the only one, is he? So, you know...
At his age? Like, is there anyone...
This is a young guy. At his age.
But
he's young.
He has been at the core of everything Arsenal do good since the age of 18. And for 3 years' time, we've seen countless examples of young players who come through and they quickly become the jewel in the crown, and they get overplayed, and the longevity then isn't there.
Go to Real Madrid, say that, you should rest up Bellingham. He's been playing too many games, yeah? Have they rested him? No. Yeah? As I said, I haven't seen Mbappe get rested.
FIFPro, there's, The Athletic drops an article at FIFPro who represent, professional footballers over, across 65 leagues or whatever. They've come out and said that they are concerned about the minutes that young players like Mbappe, I think they mentioned Bellingham, and Bukayo Saka are playing. So I might not be a doctor and a physio and studied physiotherapy, but there are other experts in the game who are looking at player welfare, who are concerned by the minutes that these players are playing. There's more football than ever before, and that is true. There are even professional footballers like Gundogan, I think Laporte, and others who have come out and said, we are playing way too much football.
I agree with that.
So manager's got to look after the younger players that go from academy to suddenly you are the star boy.
The season's just started. Bloody hell, we're 8 games in and everybody's tired. October just began. Bukayo Saka's knackered. Let's give him a month off. Come on, man. I think we've got callers, by the way.
We've got callers. Do you think City's our biggest game of the season?
A big one?
Do you think Man City's our biggest game of the season this Sunday?
It is, yeah.
So do you think maybe we could have gone with our strongest 10, Nelson in for, or Nketiah in for Saka?
No. You go with your strongest team because that's what Man City did, right? We saw them play the day after, and we're playing the same team on Sunday, and they went with their strongest team. Haaland played, Alvarez played, they all played. Foden, none of them got rested, did they? But we should rest out.
Their minutes are much better managed. Guardiola takes them off earlier. I looked at last season's numbers. Saka hit 3,200 minutes. We're going to get Ryan on.
You can't tell me about Guardiola as well, because if you're going to say that, there's a lot of people who were saying that he overplayed De Bruyne at the start of the season.
And he's injured.
De Bruyne picked up an injury, where he did have an injury, and Pep continued to play him. Now he's out for months. That's not the case there with Saka.
So he got that one wrong?
That's not the case. No, but you're using him as an example of managing players.
I think if a guy's come off injured twice, plays in a third game, comes off injured.
Knock. It depends what the injury is.
Oh, I hear it. Let's get some callers on. Let's see. We've got Ryan joining us first. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm good. Afternoon, guys. Listen, James, I think I need to join you at Harley Street as well, man. Because listen, I'm not a doctor, but Robbie.
Another doctor.
Well, I'm going to need to because I think I've lost my job. But
Dr. Ryan, congratulations, man. You know what I mean? You just got a PhD in. How do you know? I'm just saying, Rob. I'm just saying, Cecile. I'm not saying. I'm a little bit in the Cecile and James camp on that point there because Rob, come on, we've got to be honest. Saka is being overplayed. I think I saw a stat on Sky Sports, something that he's played 86 games out of 88 consecutive starts or something like that. And for me, Arteta is not managing his minutes properly. Declan Rice played more. Declan Rice,
and I know Declan Rice played more.
Declan Rice set a record for the most consecutive games played of any player. He played every game. When he was at West Ham, he played every single game in the Premier League, every single game in the in all the cups, FA Cups, Carabao, all that, and every single game in the Europa League.
But no, hold on. David Moyes rested him in an away trip to Man City, which we were all pissed off about because we needed him to take points
in one game. They
had the Conference League coming up, which was a massive game.
That was over 2 seasons, right? And that Conference League game,
he played loads.
They weren't going for the title, right? They secured to make sure that they weren't going to go down, and he was resting him for the Conference League semi-final.
Exactly. So when we've got Man City coming on the weekend, which is a massive game.
Get the context right.
But listen,
Tuesday was a massive game, and we lost it, by the way.
But Rob, my only point is, are we actually saying? And Turkish made the point as well. And I said to myself, I couldn't come because I was at work after Tuesday night's game. Are we saying that we can't beat Lens without Saka? Like we've got.
Did we win?
Why?
Did we win the game?
We didn't win the game, but this is my point. Though, Robbie. Why is Arteta decided to
hold on. Your argument's redundant. We didn't win the game.
I mean, even God. Let me make the point first. One sec. Why would he then give Reece Nelson a new contract? Why did he decide to buy Fabio Vieira from Porto for 34 million? Yes, he came on, but he only came on because Bukayo Saka came off with an injury. It's one of those ones where, for me, you could have went with Jesus down the middle, Trossard on the left, and Reece as a front three. For me, with that midfield that we had, yes, Havertz. For me, I've washed my hands with Havertz, and I know it's early. I hope he proves me wrong, but that's another debate and conversation for itself. But are we trying to say that with the team that front three, if we had to put out that front three, that wouldn't be good enough to beat Lens? They're 15th in Ligue 1, like they're French side, and that's not me trying to disrespect them, but are we trying to say that
you are disrespecting?
We're over-reliant on. I just think we're too over-reliant on Bukayo Saka, man. And
listen. Last season, let's say this, right? Last season, right? Manchester City beat RB Leipzig 7-0. Was it 7-0?
Yeah, 7-0. Yeah,
7-0. And they went to play them on Wednesday. And remember, they're playing us at the weekend.
Yeah.
Haaland, Alvarez, Foden, all of them played.
Yeah, they all played.
He didn't rest none of them. He could easily have turned around and said to Haaland, you know what, chill out, take a rest. I'm gonna play Alvarez up front. He could have juggled it out because they got. Let's be real. They got a better squad than us, right?
100%.
But he didn't. He said, "Yo, Haaland, you're our best player. Not only are you going to play, you're playing all 90, or you're playing all 90 plus minutes he played, right? But yet still, when it comes to us now, rest. And then what was the result?
You know
Saka came off early in the game. What happened? We lost the game. We didn't have pace to get in behind their defense. You know what I mean? I love Reece Nelson, but he was very poor when he came on in the game. So was Vieira. Vieira doesn't have the pace to get down the flanks. So you want to play your best players. Now, he picked up a knock in the previous game. A knock doesn't mean that you can't play the next game. A knock is if you can recover from a knock very quickly, but by a day or two, you can be over that. Yeah, if it's muscular injuries and things like what we're hearing, the rumor he's picked up now, that's a bit different. That's a bit different. If he picked up a muscular injury, but to Arteta's credit, as soon as in that game, he said he picked up a little injury, they got him straight off, and he could be available for this weekend.
But I hope he plays against Man City on Sunday, and I genuinely think Arteta is very good at fooling some of us Arsenal supporters. I think he's going to play on Sunday, and I think Martinelli's going to be back. I think Partey will come back into the side on Sunday. But my thing is, this goes back to even further than just this season, Robbie. From when Bukayo Saka broke into Arsenal's team, when we had Unai Emery, from the age of 18, he has played non-stop since he's running, and it's like, yes, I know the top players play a lot, but there's times where I feel, Robbie, where we're mismanaging him in certain games, and there's games where I think to myself, are we saying that we can't beat certain teams without Saka then? Are we a one-man team?
Ryan, you fought valiantly.
Yeah, go back to your studies, your doctor studies.
I'll see you. I'll see you on new jobs. I need it.
Big up.
Ryan,
let's bring in Jordan. Hey,
Jordan!
It's Jordan himself. How are we?
How you doing, man?
Boys, how we doing?
Where are you? Good? Where are you?
I'm in the back of a black cab in central London.
I thought he was in the back of a Ferrari or something, man. You know what I mean?
Well, thank you for calling in. Jordan, help us. We're going at each other, Robbie and I, about whether Saka's minutes were mismanaged before and whether the injury was inevitable. I believe this has been coming because a 21-year-old has played far too much football the last 3 years. He's had so much physical and mental overload as a young player. We haven't rested him times we could, and therefore come Lons, I didn't think we should play him. Man City now is looming. Robbie, on the other hand, saying, and he's making a fair point, he got knocks before. This is a muscular injury. It's different, and they can happen at any point. Where are you with it?
I think for once, I'm with Robbie on this one, actually. I actually think that I wanted him to play on Wednesday. I think that if Arsenal are serious about doing anything this season, you need your best players involved, okay? And Saka's our best player, all right? If he was injured at the back of the Bournemouth game, then that's maybe different. But from what I heard, he had a knock and he was okay to play and start in that Lens game, and he did. So I was comfortable with him playing. Injuries happen. And I listened to the last caller just saying a really interesting point earlier on about, are we just going to become a one-man team? And if Saka's not there, what can we do? We have to learn to be able to play without Saka.
Exactly.
Now, I understand that Man City are a phenomenal team, and you want your best players, of course. He increases our chance of winning the game against them, of course. But I think if we're going to be a champion team, we have to deal with not having Saka. The weekend should be focused on Saka playing or not. It should be focused on, can we turn up? Can we, as a collective, tactically and competitively match Manchester City? That, for me, should be the focus.
Yeah, we're having a few connection issues, but we've got Jordan's message in there.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. Thanks for supporting me, mate.
Well, okay, but let me...
Oh, we've lost him. We've lost him a bit now, I think.
Let me go on Jordan's first line there. If we are to be a serious team, we need Bukayo Saka in there. I agree. But serious teams have the serious part of the season at the end. Now, I understand, don't disrespect Lons. I understand, don't disrespect anyone we're playing. The early part of the season matters. But I'm not even talking... All right, let's just say the Lens injury could have happened at any point with Man City looming. I agree. But the fears have been building up and up and up, because I remember being at Watford at Vicarage Road. Is that the ground? We were at Watford doing previews and we did a Predict 11. And I called for Pepe to come in for that game and rest Saka. And you rightly said, why rest Saka? Are you kidding me? Blah, blah. But at the time, 2 years ago, it's all there on AFTV. It's all there documented. I was saying there and then, if we are to see him have a proper, long, consistent career at Arsenal, I don't want him just to, by the end of 23, 24, have purple patches like Marcus Rashford or whatever.
You just mentioned it's Saka. You just mentioned, Salah, who plays every single week for Liverpool. You'll see him.
He is conditioned.
He ain't always been 30. He's been playing for Liverpool now for a long time. He plays every game, every single game. You see, even when they take him off, he's angry. Your best players want to play every minute of every game unless they're injured, right? And I think he's our best player. And I think if he's fit, he plays.
But he clearly wasn't. Let's get Vince on. Because my thing is Saka wasn't fit. Vince,
you don't know that. You don't
help
know that.
us. Help us out.
Are you a doctor, Vince?
Unfortunately not. No. I'm not a doctor.
We need a doctor in the house.
I wish I was. No, yeah. I mean, I think Saka should definitely play. And to be honest, Robbie, I was on the side of, yes, we should rest Saka much more, obviously. But Robbie, at the beginning of your intervention, you kind of convinced me. Yes, Saka should be playing like the big players in the football history. They want to play every game. They should be in every game, etc. And on Sunday, he should definitely play. There's no doubt. Even if there's a risk of an injury, even if he's a little bit hurt, he should be playing on Sunday. However, I think this injury was looming, right? What happened on Tuesday in Lens was looming. And there was a risk. I mean, when you have the Man City game coming, which is probably the most important game we had in a couple of years, the last game is not that important in perspective of Sunday's game, right? So you needed, I think we should have rested him to avoid this possible injury. Because on Tuesday, there might have been a 15% chance of a big injury. Now, there's a 50% chance of a big injury.
Listen. The Champions League, it's not the Europa League. Those are big games.
Don't worry.
If we'd have won that game the other night, right, we could be well on our way now to be qualifying for early for this group. Now, all of a sudden, because we lost that game, you know, we the next two games are huge now.
I know.
Champions League, right? So that was a very important game the other night. We got a bit lucky, actually, that the other two teams in the group drew. So we're still second in the group. At one stage, we could have been like third, possibly even, in that group. So Champions, and why do you buy these big players? I know we haven't bought Saka, but why do you go out there and spend £100 million on Declan Rice and spend 65 million on Havertz and spend all these big money that you spend on players, right? To play in the Premier League and the Champions League. Not for them to be resting up on on a sun lounger out in Dubai, right? We want these guys to play football. Your best, and you speak to a lot of footballers, or you hear a lot of footballers doing interviews, and they're like, I want to play. So
yeah, but they all want to play, Robbie. I mean, I think, yes, we bought and we increased the size of our team to be able to do these rotations that we don't seem to do. I mean, we do them because once we have the injuries, but not before we have the injuries, right? I mean, we had to rotate at Lens and the games before because we had injuries, but we didn't do the rotations enough before. Yes, we buy Declan Rice and the bigger players to increase to improve the quality of our first team, right? But we also increase the depth of the team to be able to do these rotations. And don't worry, I don't underestimate Lens. As you might hear, I'm French originally, so I know Lens quite well.
It's a good side.
I know how good they were.
Yeah,
I know how the stadium is. You experienced it firsthand.
Unbelievable atmosphere. Yeah, it was. Great atmosphere.
So yeah, we shouldn't underestimate this game. But in this particular situation with this particular calendar, I think it would have been a good decision to not play Saka in this particular case.
Would you, even if he's only 80% fit, would you start him against City?
Yes,
I would.
100%.
Would you?
I mean,
80%.
He's our offensive leader. He needs to play.
Yeah, maybe. That's very ironic now that you both, right, are wanted to play an injured player.
Yep. Now we're saying stick him in there.
Both of you now want to play an injured player. You want to play.
That is consistent with how much I value that City game.
How you want to play the player injured?
Exactly. No, but that's why we should have rested him on Tuesday so that we don't have an 80% player.
No, but Tuesday was important, and so is this week important. And that's the life of a footballer, unfortunately. You know what I mean? I would listen if it was a Carabao Cup game, or if Arsenal were 8 points clear in the league, maybe rest but right now it's still tight in the Premier League and it's still tight in the Champions League. We need to be winning those games, and also, want to keep the winning momentum going as well. So. No, as I said, if he was fit the other night, he plays. I wouldn't rest him. It's too important a game. You just said it about Lons, how hard a game that was, and it showed.
Vince, you've been fantastic. Just before, thank you. Just before we go to our next call, I've just got a question for Robbie, right? See, when we signed Declan Rice, immaculate injury record and all that, were you happy for us to sell Partey? We didn't.
Sell?
Yeah.
No.
And why were you not happy for us to sell Partey?
Because I want us to have a better squad.
Well, but that's exactly it then. So even though Rice has this immaculate record and is never injured and can play 50 games a season, why do we want Partey? So that we can have squad depth, so we can rotate, so we can alternate, so not all the load is on Declan Rice.
Yeah, but
why is the same not true for Bukayo Saka?
Well, listen, if you would have seen in the summer when I was doing my transfer dailies and stuff, I was always calling for Arsenal to try and sign Neto.
Yeah.
Right, because I was like, he'd be a great backup to Saka. Right, Neto or Kudos or somebody like that. We didn't.
So would you have been happy if we'd signed Neto and then against Lons in the week, Neto starting and Saka was rested?
Possibly, yeah, because the drop off is not as big. Right?
Okay, so it's a squad depth issue
and he plays in a very similar way to Saka. The problem is when you bring in somebody like Fabio Vieira, he's not a good player. He's a very good player. But to me, I just don't see him as a right winger. He's not quick enough. He doesn't get past nobody. So
I agree.
So you have a massive drop off.
I agree, but I think that's where, however you want to look at it, whether Saka's played too many minutes or whatever it is, maybe it's just the fact that Arteta didn't sign a backup. But for whatever reason, we're in a position where Saka has to play these games because he's basically our only recognised right winger that can play to a certain level we need. And that is so frustrating for the fan base because then we see him getting injured. And this comment from Shagai, I hope I pronounced that name right, says, have you guys not heard of the law of probabilities? If you play a guy every game, you have more chance of getting injured. That's why you have a squad and squad management. But we don't have that squad for Saka.
Law of probability. Now we've got a physicist as well as doctors on the,
We've got everything.
The law of probability also says when you play your best player, you're probably going to do well.
All right, let's get our next caller. He's got all the answers, this man. Oh, hello, I know you.
What's going on?
Shiroi, what's going on, man?
What, you're a lawyer?
All right,
okay, you're a lawyer, so I don't know.
Not a doctor, though.
I'm not a doctor. But you're clever.
I take that.
So help us out here, Shiroi. Where'd you land on this? I actually have no idea where you land on this.
The way that I'm looking at it, forget starting for a minute, all right? Bukayo Saka against Tottenham, he's limping when? He's limping around the 75, 80-minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
Who comes off first in that game?
Wait, hold on, let me try to remember.
They take off Jesus.
Oh, yeah, it was Jesus. Yeah, you're right.
They take off Jesus. Jesus, someone who's actually probably one of the more trustworthy players to go out wide on the right-hand side if Saka does come off. Jesus comes off, but Eddie Nketiah stays on. All right. You're then looking at Saka being completely rested for Bournemouth, and he doesn't train. So Brentford, and then Bournemouth. When does he come off, and what's the scoreline at that point? The game's wrapped up. So it's not necessarily that he's starting too many games, but as the manager, you are the custodian of that team, and you need to protect those players. Robbie, look, I know you and your brother are boxing fans. If your fighter is taking a pounding in the 10th or the 11th, even if he wants to go out on his sword, Rob, sometimes as the trainer, it's your job to throw in the towel. I know it's not something that players and fighters would like to hear, but that is where the problem lies.
Listen, you're being very extreme.
Hold on.
Very extreme. Throw the towel.
I love you, Shiroi.
Hold on.
Throw the towel in.
Well, I'm not. No. I mean, look, it's an analogy, right? But what I would say is this:
and it's extreme analogy.
When we're looking at the left-hand side, we have Martinelli, we have Trossard, maybe even Smith Rowe. That Arteta trusts in those positions, visibly trusts. All right, he plays Reece down that side sometimes too. Look down the middle. He plays Jesus there. He plays Eddie there. Even plays Kai Havertz there. Sometimes plays Trossard in a false 9. So he has his options. Who does Arteta really trust on that right-hand side? He doesn't even put Gabriel Jesus on the right-hand side, despite the fact that he played there for Manchester City. So Bukayo Saka, he's like our Rolex. You don't wear him to the high street every day because you need him for the big wedding on the weekend. And the big wedding on the weekend is Manchester City. That is where the problem lies. That is where the problem lies.
No. I'm not having that.
What an analogy.
I'm not having that because your analogies are flawed. You're talking about your analogies are flawed, man. About throwing in towels and stuff
Someone
like
get
that.
me a drink.
It's for starters, that's way too extreme. We're talking about a player that's picked up a knock, 2 knocks in games. So he picked up a knock towards the end of the Tottenham game. At the end of that game, he came off. By the way, I think you're forgetting he came off after he picked up that
limping.
He came off because he picked up that knock. So he comes
Unnecessary
off.
damage was done.
Let me finish, right? As the lawyer would say, I've started, so I've finished, right? So he's picked up that knock. He's come off. The next game in the Carabao Cup, he's rested. Not even in the squad, right? Then he plays against Bournemouth. He picks up another little knock because we know that this is a guy who gets kicked a lot. When you players like Salah, Grealish, those sort of guys, Saka, where you're tricky on wingers. You get a lot of kicks, right? He's picked up another knock, right? But then he's recovered from that knock. It's not a muscle injury, a knock. We've got a Champions League game. That's where you're throwing in the towel thing. These are big games. Champions League game. He plays in that game, feels a muscular injury, so he's hauled off immediately. Immediately, right? Now, I think... there's nothing more Arteta can do then. If he's fit and he starts that game, that's fine, because we want to win that game. It's a very important game. Picks up an injury, takes him off straight away. And actually, we don't know yet. I mean, I don't know. I think Arteta's doing a press conference today, but we don't know yet. It could turn out that he made a very good decision in taking him off if he's available for the weekend.
We've got an update on that.
You got an update on that?
Yep, a tweet from James Benge, who must have been at the presser. On Saka, Arteta said, he's in contention. Let's see how he progresses from here to Sunday. He also said that Partey is ahead of schedule and will be in the squad to face Man City.
Right, so you now, you and all your other lawyers and your other doctors and that who think you know more than the medical staff and Mikel Arteta at Arsenal, right? He's taking him off in that game, not because he's got a knock, because he's seen, probably Saka said, I felt something. He's like, you felt something, off straight away. We've got a big game at the weekend, off straight away. And getting him off straight away might have saved him so that he's able to, as you just said, be in contention for the weekend. But it's a Champions League game. He's got to be playing in those games. Haaland was not rested for Man City. Haaland has played the same amount of games in the league as Saka's played. He weren't rested. Alvarez weren't rested. Foden weren't rested. And they got more options they could use.
I don't disagree that you should. I mean, you should be starting your best players in Champions League games. I get it completely. But you're looking at starting your best player when you don't have an alternative that you trust, having, as you said, had knocks. Now, I'm not a doctor, but you're not a doctor either. We don't know.
I'm not. And that's why I have to trust. That's why I have to trust. That's why I have to trust the medical people. I have to trust them.
I began by talking about managing minutes in the latter stages of games, not starting him in games. I'm talking about when he's already been beaten up in a game, he doesn't get taken off straight away against Tottenham. I'm talking about when we're 3-0 up already against Bournemouth.
Why didn't he come off? Why didn't he come off against Bournemouth?
Tough. Listen, these men are tough.
You protect your players. You protect your players.
Tough Nigerian brother. Right, eating the jollof rice and everything there, you know what I mean? And the fufu, trunk.
Shiroi, I just want to say cheers and a big thank you for fighting valiantly. Welcome to Team James. I'll be
Throw the towel in now, Shiroi.
Yeah. All right, easy.
You were great. Catch you in a bit.
Okay.
And our next caller is Zoe. How you doing?
Hi, Zoe.
Hiya.
Zoe, help me out here. Robbie's putting me under pressure. But I'm not backing down. I've cracked open a beer. It's the only way I can get through it. Help me out.
I'm on Team Robbie.
No.
Saka against Man City because he's one of the fastest players on the wings, and he could go against whoever Man City put out. I mean, taking him off on Tuesday at Lens, okay, yeah, the injury was bad, but I mean, if he had stayed on, we would have won that match.
Maybe.
Yeah, you could argue that.
Maybe.
I watched the match on telly and they were all over us, and with Saka on it, the first half we were all over them. As soon as we took Saka off, it just went a different...
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We didn't have all of a sudden we lost the pace down the flanks, and that was the problem with when Saka came off.
Yes, and I mean, with Saka, when he plays, he's fast on those wings. Him and Martinelli are both fast on each wing, so I think keeping him for the Man City match, even if he's 80% injured, like I was just hearing about all the other people saying, I would still play him.
So you'd risk it? It's worth playing him, you think?
Yeah.
I agree with you. I did a whole segment on Tactical Insight on how if we are to be... I can't stand this guy. Sorry, Zoe. With Man City, the one thing I think you're going to need is pace, because you want to terrorise them. Their centre-backs are quick, they're strong, and so I think... So why are you laughing? Saka...
No, because I just can't believe, right, you're there sitting there saying you're going to play him injured now.
Man City is an anomaly. Man City is an anomaly.
Now you're going to play him injured, right? And so if you play him injured now, right, and then he does pick up a bigger injury, he's out for 3 months, then what?
Well, it will have been... Yeah, that's unfortunate. It will have been an accumulation of the minutes.
And do you see the problems and the balancing that the manager has? And I just think that, as I said, during the week, I just think people... hysterical, man, the way they're carrying on. Oh, it's all Arteta's fault. But I was with Lee. He was losing it. Julian, he should never have played him. I'm like, yo, we lost the game. Just like she said, as soon as he came off, it was a different game.
Well, Zoe,
right?
I've got a question.
You're right, Zoe. You're correct, Zoe. Right?
Robbie makes a good point there, which is it's got me on my toes a little bit. Which is, if he gets injured against City and he's out for 3 months, where it could have been 3 weeks, then suddenly that looks a really poor decision for one match and 3 points to, compromise ourselves for the next 3 months. I just think, obviously, like you said, we're not doctors, we don't have all the information. So if the physio is saying to me, look, he's all right, if he tweaks it a little bit more, you may be extending it by a week or 2, then I think it's worth the risk. If they're saying, you know what, he's one bad moment away from a bad tear, then obviously you don't play him. But are you worried about that risk, that actually we could be doing ourselves more damage in the future?
I am and I'm not.
Go on.
Because Bukayo Saka, to me, it seems like every time he plays, the other team are trying to take him down, because they know that he's the fastest on the wing. So they know if they take him down, they've got a shot, because we've not got anybody faster to go on Saka's wing.
He does get targeted, I agree.
So if Saka feels like he's fit enough in training to go on, then it's up to him and it's up to the manager if he's fit enough. And if Bukayo says that he's fit enough in training, then we should see how he goes and see what niggling injuries he gets halfway through matches. To me, I think if he plays against Man City, if he gets an injury, then it's my fault, because I've said that he should play.
I'm sure we won't blame you, Zoe, but I hear you.
Thanks, Zoe. Thank you, Zoe. Appreciate you. Thank you.
I don't think that Bukayo Saka wanted to come off in the Lens match. I think Mikel Arteta was doing it because he wanted to keep him rested for Man City.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a fair point. Zoe, you've been great.
Thank you, Zoe.
She's
gone. I think we've got Stephen. We've got Stephen on.
First time callers as well. It's great to see. I've never met Zoe before. Great to chat.
As I said, the app is so easy to use. You press a button and you're through to us. So just do it.
It's that easy. Vince as well is a first time caller, I believe. Let's get Stephen in. Stephen, how you doing?
How's it going? First time talking to Rob, actually.
Nice to meet you, man. Nice to meet you. Where do you stand?
To be honest, right now I'm like an NHS porter, so I understand how the doctors work.
Yeah, no, we got someone from the NHS, right? So
take it away.
So I think, to be honest, Saka's been struggling for for a while now, Rob. I think we've got to appreciate that. The guy hasn't looked quite well for at least a few months now. And 3 games are coming off. And I think Sharoy just kind of like said it there. Like the times he's coming off, everybody can see, right? You've got eyes. James has got eyes.
No, but hold on, right? Steve, you going to work, yeah? Right?
Yeah.
You're walking along, you buck your toe, right, on one of the NHS beds, right?
Yes.
And then you're struggling. That thing's paining you all day. You're not going to take a week off, are you? Maybe you might have to take a day off, right? And then by that time the pain's gone, and then you're back. It's a knock.
Wait, Bob. It depends what knock it is. Now you're talking about my toe, but I use my fingers. See, I do on the computer, but these are legs, right? So
you get the last game he
uses his leg.
Bournemouth, he got a knock. He kicked on the ankle.
You see, he got confused. You see, I use my head, but he always uses his leg. So,
all right, he uses his leg. Yeah, he got a kick. He got a kick on the ankle in the Bournemouth game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're telling me that it's a knock to that ankle. It's not a muscular injury, right? It's a knock. That means you might have a bit of swelling, whatever. Being in the NHS. Put some stuff on that, cool it down, reduce the swelling. Within a day or so, you're good to go again. That's how knocks work. That's different. That's different to you get a muscular injury where somebody might say, hey, you know what, with that injury, you need a week off or you need a month off to fully recover from that and rehabilitate that muscle. But we're talking about, I remember do you remember when Grealish was at, in particular when Grealish was at Villa, he used to get the same treatment every week. Kick. He was the most kicked player in that league, but he still played. He recovered from that knock. He'd be playing the week after.
But Rob, the way you are saying here is similar. You're talking about Sunday League person. This is high level, right?
Sunday League is a Jack Grealish.
No, come on. Let's be honest. Saka has been struggling, and look at him right now. For all we know, the guy is not getting any break, and we hope that.
I'll tell you what, then, yeah. Maybe you should go down to your bank, get some money out. Maybe you can book him a trip to Dubai or to somewhere so he can go and have a nice little rest up himself for a month.
A good point's being raised here.
I want to see my star player playing football.
A good point's being raised here, right? Bukayo Saka, this is how many windows does Arteta have? Maybe 6 or 7, and he's never signed, apart from Marquinhos, adequate right wing backup for Saka.
That's another point.
I think Saka, and actually, to be fair, his output's been good. His output's been very good this season, but I still don't think he's looked near his best. I don't think he ended last season near his best. How do you get him back to his best? You take him out the 11. You put someone else in. You give him some competition. You manage his minutes. There's a great comment here from Jean Ren, who makes a good point. I'm going to concede he makes a good point, but I've got an answer to it. He says, James, what about Martinelli? He has been rested and rotated way more than Saka and still got injured. Exactly. So the correlation cannot be made. Here's my thing, yeah? That's a fair point. It's a fair point. No one's ever said that you can't get injured even if you barely play minutes. But let's look at Martinelli last season. Started really well. Then he had the World Cup. And actually, he fell off a little bit for a month or two. Trossard comes in, a little bit of competition. He's in and out of the 11. And who was our single-handedly best player in the run-in last season? Gabriel Martinelli, who had his minutes managed because Trossard came in, who had competition. And when the going got tough, he was the one who stepped up to it more than ever before.
Who was the best player for City?
Or De Bruyne? I don't know. Who was City?
Gundogan.
De Bruyne comes out of the 11 all the time.
De Bruyne or Haaland, they played practically especially
Haaland. That's not true. No. De Bruyne played 700 less minutes in the Premier League.
Haaland played practically every single game last season.
He still played 400 less minutes than Saka. Sorry, you've been amazing, by the way. Thank you. You've given me more ammunition. Thank you.
I don't think that we win with Rob. As soon as Rob put his foot on something, that is it. We are done for.
Well, he's also my boss, so there's only so far I can go.
We'll win, man. Don't worry. We'll win.
Let's go. Who's next? Oh, hello, Mr. Good. Now I knew I needed.
Here's another doctor here. He was here crying yesterday.
No, this is
crying
good.
his eyes out. What I want to ask you, first of all,
I'm bringing the Avengers in. Sharoy, Gunali.
Yeah, you're trying to bring back up. Oh, that's why it's a conspiracy.
Yeah, this is my Captain America. Come on, Lee.
Have you heard the news that he may play on Sunday?
Yeah, I have heard the news, and we're very fortunate. Let's just say that. I think you know.
Now I'm very fortunate. I told you are not a doctor. You're not a doctor. He's not a doctor. Turkish, all these. You're not doctors, yeah. Right? You're not Bukayo Saka's manager. You don't know what state of his injuries are. All you can go off is the information that you receive. Stop being so hysterical and calm down sometimes and assess the situation of what is going on.
Yeah, but Robbie, no one's saying I feel like you're fully missing the point. Nobody's saying that he shouldn't be playing. Nobody's saying that.
No, you did.
You know,
you said he shouldn't have played the other night. You told me that yesterday.
Let's let him say. Go on.
Yeah. Look, everybody's going to have their opinions about whether he should have started, you know, how many minutes he should have played. But ultimately, this is a short-term sort of pain for a long-term game, because what's the end goal, Robbie? We want to win the league. Now, you made a great point, James. When you look at the minutes that he's played, Haaland's played over the last season, he played in 5 competitions, including the Community Shield, which was 90 minutes. He's played almost the same amount of minutes as in 5 competitions as Saka played in 3, and he didn't even really play that many minutes or the amount of games in Europa League. Now, you look at the way that Foden's been handled, who his age mate in terms of being a star player for his team, and the way that he's taken in the team, taken out of the team. You're asking this guy to carry a club on their back by himself. Now, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, look, I can understand Robbie, but sometimes you got to take it out of the player's hands, and it shouldn't be a thing where Saka's going to be pushing to play. Listen, Robbie, Robbie, you're missing the point. Okay, I'll give you this perfect example, Robbie, right? You keep mentioning it's 8 games. It's almost like when you go out with somebody and you break up with them, it's not that one thing that could most probably, break up, you reason why you break up with them. It's the longevity of this person's not treating you right. They're not listening to you. Over a sustained period of time is why you feel like, you know what, I can't be with this person anymore.
So
when we relate that
doctor earlier on, now we've got a marriage counsellor.
When we relate this to football now, it's not just 8 games. It's the last season where we saw that he at the end of the season, he just couldn't run anymore. We saw the season before when we were trying to go for the top 4. He ran out of gas. So when we come to this season now, we've hopefully learned from the mistakes. And the thing you have to keep thinking about is, Robbie, we're trying to win the league. It isn't just, for the here and now. This game, you even heard yesterday, we did the matchup against the Man City fans. This game isn't really going to make or break our season, because we didn't lose last season by not beating Man City. Yes, it would have helped, but we lost it at Liverpool, West Ham, Southampton. We lost it in those games. And what I'm trying to say to you is, you have to trust the squad. You have to trust these other players in the team.
Listen, right? Listen, I'm saying. Hold on. I've listened to you, right? I'm saying this.
It's not 8 games. It's
right. 8 games, yeah. Right. I see another. Let's compare another player, another young player, right?
Okay, but Robbie,
let's compare. Hold on. Let me finish now. Let me say. Let's compare him.
Include the England games.
Let's compare him with another. Okay, let's compare him with another young player, Jude Bellingham. 19. Yeah? 19. I think he might have just hit his 20th birthday.
Wasn't he littered with injury problems at Dortmund?
Right.
He was.
Man's played every game this season. Every game, right? Real Madrid don't drop him. Right? He plays. Yeah, you go get on your laptop and you start looking for his
injury record. Don't you worry.
He's played every game. Yeah, Bellingham. He's played every game for England as well. Right? Do you think that they didn't rest him the other night, did they? They didn't rest. Bellingham weren't rested. Haaland weren't rested. When you've got your best player, Salah wasn't rested. Your best players play. If they're injured, fair enough. Fair enough. I hear you on that. If a player's injured,
his injury record wasn't.
His injury record wasn't that bad at Dortmund.
You're bringing Bellingham.
Because Bellingham's comparable. Because Bellingham is the same sort of age. He's a young player that you would think maybe we need to manage a bit. But listen. He's your best player. He plays every game unless he's injured. Obviously not Carabao Cup and things like that.
Can I just say one thing?
Final say, Gunley, because we've got so many callers, man. This is mad. Yeah, but thank you so much for joining. Go on.
you keep mentioning this whole Bellingham thing, right? And you keep mentioning the fact that like he's played every single game. There's been no injury concern of him this season. Saka,
Bellingham's got kicks. No. Bellingham, if you watch a couple of Real Madrid games, he's got kicks.
No, Robbie, you're still not getting the point. You're still negating the point that there's been clear issues with him this season in Bournemouth where he's been limping off. You haven't seen that for Real Madrid with Bellingham. So you're comparing.
Our fans, we're soft, man.
All right, Lee. Thank you. Thank you for joining the Avengers. I appreciate it.
We've gone soft.
I'm still recruiting. Matty's our next caller. Hey, how you doing?
We've gone soft, man. How you doing? How you doing, Matty?
We've got a slight audio issue, but hopefully it sorts itself out. Go on, carry on. Hopefully it fixes itself.
I was just going to say on the point about Bellingham, I've got a point about another young player.
Oh, it's struggling now. The internet's having a bit of a... What do you want?
Oh, we can't hear him.
Oh, Matt, we can't even hear you now. You know what? Let's try getting Matt back on because I really want to hear. He had a point on another young player, which I really want to hear. By the way, the poll is still at 1,500 votes. 78% believe he was overplayed, Saka.
Well, we've gone soft. We don't want to play. Let's give him a rest, man. I mean, that's 75% of people there, all put together a tenner. I mean, see if we can send him on holiday, or he could go for a spa weekend whilst we're playing.
Right,
when we're playing in the Champions League next game.
Let's get the next caller. I'm still recruiting. Come on, come help me, people. Who have we got next?
Here. That's another one. Dr. Turkish in the building.
Yeah. You can say all that, but one thing you can't call me is
what's
soft,
up, Doc?
Yeah,
that's true.
That's one thing.
No, you're going soft as well.
No,
I used to think you weren't, but you're going soft. You're going soft. Yeah. You're wasting your energy talking about the dog win, right? When you should be addressing this point here, that Saka and look, the points. If he plays on Sunday, the point's proven, isn't it?
No.
The point is then proven that it was actually they were actually right to pull him off straight away the other night when he felt something, and they are looking out for Sunday.
The point isn't proven because we're yet to see what percentage of fitness he'd be at come Sunday. But listen, Robbie, let me start with what I agree with what you're saying, because your best players will play the majority of games in the season. I agree with you on that one. They're highly paid, they're looked after well, they look after themselves well. So the majority of the season, your best players play when fit. But majority is the key word here. And when you look at the amount of injuries we have to key players already, and you look at the second group stage game of a Champions League group where you're predicted to finish top, even if you drop some points in a game or two, and you've got Manchester City coming up, a Manchester City team where to compete with them, all 38 games in a Premier League season are very important. If you want to compete with City come April and May, all 38 games are important. So there's got to be some sort of, ownership from the manager to protect them. And I know you mentioned Salah, I know you've mentioned Jude Bellingham, but if I mention Jack Wilshere to you, or if I mention Michael Owen, who Michael Owen's come out before and said, I was played too much, too young. That's
injured play. You come out again. Those are not good examples. That's going to bring Jack Wilshere and we're talking about players, right?
Keep right now. Turkish.
We're talking about players right now at their club. Why not use the example of a Jude Bellingham? That's very comparable because Jude Bellingham, similar sort of actually younger than Saka, best player at the moment at Real Madrid. He ain't getting rested.
He was on the bench. He was on the bench the other week against Las Palmas.
Las Palmas, what was that? A cup
that's
game?
Interesting.
Was that a league game?
La Liga game, yeah. I'm pretty sure it was a La Liga game, yeah.
That's very interesting.
He's on his laptop.
Let's have a little look.
Well, right?
Las Palmas, La Liga, 2-0 win. Oh, he's not in the 11. Oh, there is. Oh, no, I didn't even come on Bellingham.
Oh, Rob.
Yeah, but did they have a Champions League game after that?
No, it was a league game the next week, I believe.
I can tell you, don't worry, Mr. Stats here to. It was Girona the week after. It was another league game.
Well, they're playing two little idiot teams anyway, so they could afford to rest it. They could afford.
Girona were top of the league.
They could afford to.
Yeah,
they could afford to rest him. But listen, Bellingham plays, right? He played the other night. He'll play on the weekend. Haaland played the other night. Why wasn't he rested?
But Rob, guess who didn't play the other night? City's best attacker so far this season, Julian Alvarez.
He did play the other night. He did play the other night.
He started on the bench.
He played the other night.
He came on for 12 minutes.
Haaland's
and got a goal.
Come on, Haaland's their main
That's true.
guy. You know that.
No,
Haaland
but
is their main guy.
Haaland's out of form, Rob.
Haaland's their main guy, right? He played the full 90 minutes.
Who's been City's best attacker this season? It hasn't been Haaland. It's been
I think
Alvarez.
Haaland scored the most goals, hasn't he?
He has, but Alvarez has been the best attacker.
He scored the most goals. They didn't rest him. He's their best player, right? Whether you want to say this season what he's their best player, right? He weren't rested. He played. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Salah played, I think, 90 minutes in the Europa League yesterday. Or he played. Salah. And they got a game. They got a game at the weekend.
He did start and play in that game.
Yeah,
irritatingly.
Salah started the Europa League game.
No,
and they've got a tough game. Am I right in saying they've got West Ham away? Is it West Ham away?
Brighton away.
Brighton away they've got. And Salah played, and you look on that, especially after what happened to them last week, you look on that and say, boy, now we need Salah. Brighton away, very, very tough assignment. He played. And that's what I'm saying. Your best players, if they're fit, they play. And I'm saying with Saka, he's picked up knocks. We're not talking about a guy who's carrying a hamstring injury or a calf injury. We're talking about a guy that's had some kicks in a game. It happens. It happens, you know, I mean, the best players get kicked as well, by the way. They do get kicked up, right? But if it's a knock that you can recover from in a day or two, why shouldn't he play?
Yeah, but Rob, you're right. And this generation is too soft, and you should be able to get past, and you should be able to, just brush it off, because that's the football I grew up on. People were taking knocks left, right, and centre.
So why are you moaning about this then?
Because the thing about this one is we have Man City around the corner. That's the key with this one. That's why generally I agree with you, Rob. But with this one, there's a big game Sunday that I won't say season defining in game week 8, but it could be mentality defining this season.
I think somebody said, use a good word. I think it was yesterday. They said it's symbolic. It's a symbolic game for us, I think, in that we never ever beat them. So if we could beat them, it wouldn't be a game changer, but it'd be symbolic.
And surely, in hindsight, Rob, you must now agree, considering Saka did come off injured and we didn't win the game, that it wasn't the correct decision to play him.
No, I don't agree. It was the correct decision to play him, and unfortunately, within the game, he's picked up. He's felt a little twinge in his arm muscle, and they've taken him straight off. That was a very responsible thing to do, and that. Taking him off early in that game after he felt something has probably meant that he's going to be able to play on Sunday. So that, I have had no problem with what they've done. If they played him, as what James is suggesting now, this week Sunday, if he's 80% fit, play him. What if you play him then and he's out for months?
Turkish. We've got to take some other callers, but I don't know if you've seen the schedule starting from next week. Robbie's got us on 65 days work back to back with about 3 shows each. I don't know, he's taking some inspiration from something he said, but so I'll see you Monday.
I've got a knock.
You got a knock.
I'll let you know.
All right, let's get Alex. Alex, how you doing?
Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing with Robbie and James. So I'm here for Team Robbie. So our fans should stop acting like the coach doesn't know what he's doing. So if he's doing anything, it's for the good of the team. So we are actually falling into the opponent's trap. They want to make us look like, okay, the coach doesn't know what we're doing, so that will bring down the morale of the team. So if Saka is free or available, he should play. Every game is important. Man City game is not 10 points, it's 3 points.
True.
It's important for the media and the TV, but not for the team. More than any other game we can play.
There's context and there's a grey area with all this, absolutely. Robbie, the point I agree with most is the should Saka play on Sunday one. I hear that, do you risk a large part of the season for one game? And I'm kind of torn on it. And again, it all comes down. If he says I'm 95% fit, or the medics say there's like a 5% chance of injury, I'd say it's worth the risk. If they say no, there's a pretty good chance he gets injured again, then no, it's not. So obviously that's the context we don't know. But I don't like this whole, we're not medics, we're not, we don't know what we're talking about. Well, then there's no point us having an opinion on anything in football, because we're not players, we're not coaches.
You're carrying like you know more than what the the experts.
So don't complain.
Yeah.
Don't complain ever about any decision Arteta ever makes, about any decision any footballer ever makes. Because how do we know? We've never been in that position. So what do we know?
James, let me say this, right?
Go for it.
So Arteta is with the team every day. So he probably has an idea of what's going on with the player. And trust me, I believe he is not acting for the opponent. He is trying to get the best he can get for the team.
Absolutely.
And so I understand the issue of Saka being played so much. We're only 9 games into the season, as I would say. So do you want to tell me if we start resting him now and he goes out of form, what will you say? You say, okay, Saka is not good, right? So we always say, in order for a player to be at the best, he has to be consistent. He has to have some minutes. Now he's having minutes, it's becoming an issue.
There absolutely is a school of thought that actually if you only play someone once a week, then they lose rhythm. And I understand all that. But I just think considering he'd come off quite a few games injured and he'd had this incredible record, he matched Merson or even beat Merson's record of consecutive Premier League appearances. For someone who has been a mainstay in this Arsenal team from the age of 18, I felt that a calculated fair risk was Lens, difficult team, don't disrespect them, go full strength. But maybe Saka didn't need to play this one because Man City are lurking. The thing is, I know Arteta's got all the information, but that doesn't mean Arteta doesn't make mistakes.
Of course he can make mistakes, but he's got more information
than
you.
He does.
All right, thank you very much, man. Appreciate the call. We got one more.
You were great, man. Thank you.
We've got to squeeze in, but thank you, man. Team Robbie.
Final call is John, I believe. Let's get John on.
How you doing, John?
Hey,
round it up. How are you doing?
Yeah, no, well, look, just before I tell you which team I'm sitting on, firstly, I just want to say, James, I think what you do for the channel is fantastic.
Thank you.
Give so much. You can tell the amount of work you do and the preparation you do and the analysis, I think is bang on. And Robbie, you know, for what you've done for fans, I just want to say thank you very much. I think,
thank you.
AFTV in the years, it's just given such interest to football and allowed us to have a voice, and I really
thank you, appreciate it.
Can I just say, I firstly I appreciate that massively, and especially on what's quite clearly going to be my last day here. So thank you so much for the send off.
Calling you, aren't they, James? Anyway, your analysis. So maybe you've got another job lined up. But look, I'll break it to you. I am with Team Robbie on this one, I'm afraid, guys.
All right, you were nice to me, so.
A couple of reasons. Firstly, we all think as fans, don't we, that we know better than the club. We always do. And I get the argument we can see with our eyes, but we've all played football. We've all gone on runs. When you come off, we know whether we've got a knock. We know if we are unfit, or we know if there's a muscle strain, right? Just because you got a knock, as Robbie says, a day or two you can feel great. But we have to back the medical team. We have to. A knock is a knock. A muscle sprain is very, very, very different.
Yeah.
And the point about fitness, these guys are mega fit, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to suddenly not pull a hammy accidentally, right? These are professional athletes. So I do believe that they are highly tuned to be able to compete. And don't forget, they would be training if they weren't actually in the game. So I'm afraid we absolutely should have played Saka. The other point I wanted to make is about this, we rest versus Lens. We should be beating Lens. We should be beating Lens with our best 11. And our best 11, to get us here, has Saka in the team. If we play a second string team, guys, we ain't beating Lens. We didn't meet them anyway, So
Can I throw a counter, though, John?
Please,
Does our best 11 against Lens include a Saka whose minutes have been managed better and so comes into that game that bit fresher, that bit sharper? Because my point isn't just about the knocks, it's the sheer amount of volume of game time he's accumulated up to that point. And I don't think anyone can convince me, despite his output being good, that we've seen Saka anywhere near an 8 or 9 out of 10 version of his performances because of all the games that accumulated up to this point.
Yeah, but that's fair. But what do we do, James? What is it? 1 week? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 4 weeks rest?
These are highly. That's a good point.
These are professional athletes. And I get he's played for England and he doesn't get the summer that we expect him to. But guys, as I said, he is at the top of performance. He's a racehorse. We've got to play him. That's what we pay him the big money for. That's what he's at. And try to tell him not to play, right? It takes a lot for a medical team to go, Saka, sorry, my boy, but you're going to be rested out of this. He's like, but my body feels great. So, absolutely the right decision. And, bring on City with all that.
Please make sure you come back on often, man. Sensible, intelligent, right, reasonable. Like you said, you made a great point there when you said, how much time do you give him off then? You know what I mean? If I'm a footballer and I've picked up a knock, and then like I'm Saka, I know I'm a really good player, right? And I picked up a knock, right? And then after a day or so, I feel perfectly fine. I don't want no one telling me about no rest. I want to play that next game. Great point. Thank
As
you.
a wider point, spot on, but it doesn't take a genius to know it. 3-0 up away at Bournemouth, he should be one of your first subs. But I actually think your point, yeah, all right, you got me on the back foot there, which is not how I want to end the show. John, you were brilliant, and thanks for the kind words. We really appreciate it.
John.
A really great way to round off the show with a fantastic caller. This has 100% been the liveliest fan zone I've done. Great debate, callers on both sides. Are we going to shake on it after?
We always shake on it, man. We always shake.
Very spirited debate.
The main thing is we win the game, whether Saka plays or not. We win that game on Sunday. That's the most important thing.
And to wrap up, one thing we do agree on, we are both very optimistic about this game. As far from what I've heard you say,
I am
you know, we believe the team can go out and do it, whether Saka's available or not.
Yeah, very, very tough game.
Yeah,
the best team around. We're facing, but I think this time.
I think we can do it. It's time. Our coming of age moment, surely. We do have a load of super chats. I'm going to fly through them. I'm so sorry I haven't got through them earlier. Thank you to everyone who's called and joined on AFTV Plus. You see how easy it is. We're loading new callers. John was the first time caller. Vince, Zoe, never spoken to them before. Fantastic to have you on the show. It's that easy. Well done, everyone. Fantastic contributions to the show. Thank you to Sharoy, Guna Lee, who we see often, Jordan as well. Mark says, I'm not happy with how Arteta managed Saka in recent weeks. He was already getting knocks left, right and centre. He should have rested Saka. I wanted Reece Nelson. Joshua says, this chat about Saka being overplayed baffles me. If you look at all the top teams and players in years gone past, over 50 games a season is a minimum. Saka hasn't played more than 50 games in any. Fair point. Dave Jordan says, people still see Saka as a boy. He's a big man. And he then also says, Dave Jordan, James, it's not X Factor. Stop with the Saka sob stories. Ricky says, if Saka is the best winger in Europe, he plays. Other best players like Messi, Ronaldo, Salah were never rested and they played every tournament. Shreth says CR7 in his prime used to be subbed and protected by Fergie. Saka played more games than those times. Saka and M11 have been overplayed and now are injured. Fact. Juan says, can't believe Robbie calls Tide delusional. Got a super chat from Mac who says, which one of the two games would you rather win? City for me. I think you can fix the Lens result. City I think is big. You can fix the City result, but still. Christian says, since 2021 we haven't had sufficient backup for Saka. I agree. 40 side said, if we want to win the league, surely we should be able to rotate Saka like we do with all our players. If we are in a place where Saka's not playing means we can't win a match, then we have problems. Spot on. And he says, after Arteta for putting out the best team possible. Crazy. Top players play. Everyone acting like they're Saka and knows whether he should play or not. And then TJ rounds it all off with the medical team is in question after Timber's injury. A player who looked uncomfortable at half time and then came out for the second half and made it worse. Anyway, let's not go into that. Robbie, great debate. Thank you so much. There is a massive super fan debate out at 5 p.m. You do not want to miss these. Robbie and Gunali, hosted by Turkish, against Big Steve and Boovie. I mean, if that's not the end game of Avengers, then I don't know. Anyway, it's big stuff. Everyone go check it out. And like I said, we'll be keeping you up to date with every ball that is kicked on Sunday as it happens, including a reaction to the starting 11 and the full-time show like we've done here on FanZone, giving you a chance to have your say. Merch as well could be found on the app. Look at that. North London Forever and a lovely Zinchenko top as well. Plenty more. All right, everyone. We will see you for the big one on Sunday. Catch you in a bit.
We're not competing with you for the league. We're competing with Liverpool. You're in the top 4 debate. You're closest to Spurs and City this season. You're closest to Spurs and City.
You see, you're getting too cocky now. You're getting too carried away. I used to see every City fan say, I don't care about the Champions League. Every City fan, boo!
It's true. Yeah.
Now, we won the treble. Winning the league without losing is a better achievement than the 100 points. The pleasure it gives me as an Arsenal fan to know that despite all the money you spent, I know it burns. Shut up every Arsenal fan. Wait a minute.
That shuts everyone up.
Shut up every Arsenal fan by doing.
Henry or Aguero?
Come on. Your missus is watching the Premier League because of Thierry Henry.
No,
looking forward to that day you hit.
You can't.
We've come to repossess those trophies.
It's a Sunday, please. It's a Sunday, please. Yo.
Right?
Can you imagine if they won the treble and we were saying
No,
I'd be humble.
Oh my God.
Oh my days.
You keep talking about the gold trophy. We're talking about the achievement.
Have you got one in your house?
Wait, forget.
Have you got a little toy one in your house?
Forget.
Go get a Kinder Egg from Tesco.
Listen.
Get one in it. You end up with t-shirts like that, treble. Yeah? Treble.
Give me those.
Calm down, Win. Calm down.
We've got a harpoon for these sharks when they come here this week. It's about time we turn them over, and we're going to do it this week Sunday.